Dreams. That's all coming up within the next 30 minutes. But we start today at Kennesaw State University, where they're shaping our future through world-class academics, innovative research, and economic impact. Recently, we spent the day learning about the physics of soccer and also how you can stay hydrated, whether you're playing or a spectator at any of the FIFA World Cup games. Watch this. David Garofalo is a physics professor at Kennesaw State University. Born in Italy, he played soccer in the lower divisions and eventually found himself lending his expertise to students right here at KSU. And recently, he taught me a thing or two. Physics in soccer, very important. You're an expert in physics. How does it work? How do we need to apply physics to playing soccer?
Well, if you take an intro course in physics, you basically learn three principles. And those principles are the conservation of momentum, energy, and angular momentum, and they're all involved in the basic skills of developing your touch on the ball.
Conservation of momentum, energy, and angular motion, all showcased while juggling a soccer ball.
There are two principles involved immediately if there's no rotation. It's very hard not to rotate the ball. So there's some rotation, which means that also the principle of angular momentum conservation comes into play.
Okay.
So if I want to figure out how high that ball went before it came down, I have to apply momentum and energy conservation.
Bend It Like Beckham, popular movie. Obviously, David Beckham, one of the world's most famous soccer players back in the day. What are the physics then on getting the players? How do they get that ball to curve?
So there's rotation. So you have to produce a force with your foot, of course. And technically, you're producing a torque, which creates angular momentum. It just means you spin the ball. Professor
Garofalo says the bending comes from the fact there is air around the ball. And after a brief physics lesson, I learned how to juggle, kinda.
So you start with the soccer ball. You might start by hitting the ball up, hitting it up, and letting it bounce once, and keep hitting it up like that. When you can do 100 of those,
okay,
you've controlled it to a certain degree. So try that.
Okay, I tried. To avoid further embarrassing myself, he thankfully showed off with the tennis ball. Still got it. From juggling to free kicks, we had, well, a ball. Whew, I'm exhausted and not very good at soccer, it turns out. But lucky for us here at Kennesaw State University, there is an expert on hydration, which you need just as much as being strong and fit. Let's go find him. Come on. Hi, Mitch. Good to see you. Okay, you study hydration. You've made it your life's work. There is a science to hydration, though. Can you tell us about that?
So I first kind of got into hydration back in my master's as a powerlifter. So powerlifters a lot of times will kind of cut water weight for competition. And so kind of got interested in that and how does it affect our performance in that sport. And then from there, kind of started learning more about the science of hydration and health, because there's actually a lot of ways that hydration connects to different health outcomes like diabetes risk, kidney disease, obesity even. So then for my PhD, kind of wanted to delve a little bit deeper into that kind of thing.
Strength, power, speed, all characteristics commonly said about elite athletes, but hydration is just as important, and for us regular folk too.
A lot of people don't actually drink enough fluid in their day-to-day life. So it's estimated as many as 40% of females and 60% of males actually aren't meeting our current fluid intake guidelines. And so my research is focused on how can we get people to meet those fluid intake guidelines just in everyday life.
I see a lot more young people nowadays drinking water, thinking about water. Have you found that to be true in your research?
So sort of. So yeah, you definitely, I notice it in my classes I teach too, people with all the different latest trendy water bottle, whatever it is. Now whether they're actually drinking it or not, is it more of a fashion statement? What are the reasons why people do or don't drink water, right? And so, kind of the focus of the research is see, what percentage of people are dehydrated, and then targeting those who are underhydrated, not drinking enough fluid. Can this bottle approach get them to meet those guidelines?
Dr. Mitch just finished research on smart water bottles and actually looked at physiological markers in the lab to help motivate hydration and ultimately help with the health outcomes down the road. Let's talk about FIFA World Cup matches here in Atlanta.
how should the athletes be preparing hydration-wise, and even if you're just going to a match as a spectator?
Obviously, the athletes are going to have much larger fluid losses, especially during something like soccer is pretty high at risk for dehydration. And so they really want to prioritize during those breaks getting plenty of water in. Ideally, they'll have a planned hydration approach to where they know about how much fluid they're going to lose during that game, and then they can plan accordingly. For just people going to the games, more so kind of outside the stadium, because we know, Mercedes-Benz is air conditioned, but really around the game and even walking from the parking lot, all that, it's going to be Atlanta heat in the summertime, losing a lot of fluid there, and so making sure we hydrate beforehand, afterwards, especially if during the game someone's having alcohol, that is a diuretic, right? And so losing much more fluid from that, so making sure we replace that accordingly is going to be key to prevent risk of heat stroke or heat illness.
FIFA just reversed course on banning reusable water bottles.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. I get it, though. Hopefully, people will do their due diligence and hydrate beforehand before getting to there. And then, if you, I think it's worth it getting the water bottle at the stadium just so you stay hydrated. My thought is if you already paid the money for those tickets, you can spare a little extra on the water bottle as well. So yeah, that's just my advice.
We had such a fun day there. Thanks so much. And thanks to Kennesaw State University for having us and sponsoring that segment. After the break, looking to turn your backyard